Hi there, and welcome back to the History of Fleetwood Mac. I'm Anita. Today we're going to continue Volume 19, Episode 8 of my Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks scrapbooks. And today I just thought I'd bring out this nice Lindsey poster that I have. It's one of those really large, let's see if I can move you a little bit without going too wonky. One of those really large, it's about 4 feet by 4 feet, wide and tall. Kind of like the one for Say You Will that I had at Fleetwood Mac. Hopefully that wasn't too bouncy. And yeah, it's for Gift of Screws, but I don't think I brought it out during the Gift of Screws time, even though we're in Seeds We Sow. But I just found it and I thought, it's nice. I used to have it up at my old place and I love this picture. It's a great picture. It's kind of cool that it's not you can just see down here, it's not the album cover. Not that there's anything wrong with the album cover, but it's nice to kind of have a different picture to look at from an album. So yeah, I just thought I'd bring that out because we're going to be going over Lindsey tonight. And this was a show that I attended, amidst all those other great shows that I attended of Stevie and other things like that. I saw a great Lindsey show. I was still kind of new to Oregon, and I hadn't done, most of the traveling I had done was back to California. It was so funny. It just seems really from 2009 to 2011. I came up in October of 2009. So really 2010 and 11, I was just going to California all the time for shows or whatever. There just didn't seem to be that many things that were up my way. And unfortunately, being as I'm up in Oregon now, it is not often anymore that I get down California way to go see as much as I used to. I'll normally just stay up here and see Portland and Seattle or something like that if available. But this Lindsey show that had come up, everybody was saying it was in Seattle, but it was actually in a town called Shelton, Washington, which wasn't too terribly far away from me. It's probably about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe if that. And I only say that because you're traveling along a river. And to be honest with you, the fondest memory I have of that show is I was driving and it was kind of dust time. And I called up my dad, who had kind of spent some time in Oregon, but mostly Washington in his youth. And he has fond, little glimmer memories of Washington. And I called him up and I said, I'm headed out to this Lindsey show, but I just want to call and talk to you while I was on the road. This is on speaker, so I wasn't holding the phone. But, that it was just freaking beautiful. So where I was driving to was just so pretty. And then by the time I hung up with him, because we only talked for a few minutes, just as I'm driving through all this kind of just, so many trees and water and green, just the Pacific Northwest is really, really very beautiful. And by the time I got off the phone with him and found where this place was, I'd gone way up in these mountains. And it's just this little resort and casino up there. And I could never get there again. Even with the directions, it was hard for me to find this place. So that was really the strongest memory of it. It was just really getting there and then the whole excitement. And then when I got in there, I can't seem to find a ticket, but I had like a first row. But what was really weird is that it was really long inside. It was really like a long rows, like a real auditorium, old-fashioned auditorium. It was kind of an old-fashioned place. Hadn't been updated in a while, you could tell. Maybe the stage and sound was, because it wasn't terrible, but it was just really open, just really wide, and it wasn't really stacked. It was just mostly level. And where I was, here's the stage, and I'm way the hell over here, but all the seats were empty. And I kind of started making my way slowly, and I was worried that somebody would show up, but there's 9 seats or something like that. I don't know how I didn't get a better seat, more towards Lindsey or what. But anyway, next thing I know, I'm just pretty much right between him and Brett Tuggle. So I was in a great spot, the whole rest of the night. Nobody was minding. Everybody's like, yeah, come on over. Because I'm literally solo, just by myself, way at the end there, being like, oh. So it was really cool. But yeah, I can't seem to find a ticket. But this happened on October 24th, 2011, 23rd, sorry. 24th was in Napa. And I think that was the last date of Lindsey's tour. He started in September. And then ended, and I think he started back up again, continuing with Seeds We Sow, and then kind of going into the one-man show, or the one-man show was part of this. I'm really not sure, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't even think I have that on CD or DVD, the one-man show, which also indicates I'm not entirely positive what format it's on. But I digress. This was a really good show. It seemed kind of I see shows in California so often. And I just seen Lindsey, 2011, did I do that? Or 2010, or whatever it was, the Wiltern show. And this was lively, and Lindsey was definitely giving his total most, like he always does at a show. But it was just kind of I didn't know anybody. I'd never been to this place. it doesn't really seem to be a real happening place where I've like, oh yeah, so-and-so is going to be there. Yeah, I went there one time. Not that there haven't been, it just like, I don't seem to hear about it. Like usually somebody will come down the pike and I'll be like, they're at that place. And I probably only heard about it for the first time because Lindsey was at it. You know what I mean? But everybody was pretty nice, but it's just really weird. And at the end of it, I remember going out and like the buses are just right there. It's dark by this time, so I'm kind of trying to picture where you come out of the auditorium and there's just like this long like sidewalk out front. The buses are parked there, but when you come out of the auditorium, and if you were to go to right instead of this way to the buses, you would have gone into the casino or a lodge part of it or something like that, because it's a resort, casino and resort. But it's very cabin-esque, so it's multiple levels and kind of goes around, and just it was really pretty, but it's like I said, dark by the time. I think I saw both Lindsey and Brett, if memory serves me right, and I might have captured like a minute second with Brett, no picture or anything like that, but just a small hello and hi. And Lindsey, it seems like I saw him, but there was just not even a crowd afterwards. Nobody was out there trying to look for Lindsey or the band. And it seems to me like I did see him, but like I didn't make the effort because although I could have, but he wasn't close enough to me. This is like the bit of memory that I remember of this after the show. It wasn't that opportune where he's just right there. It was kind of like, he's on the other side of the bus, like coming around to it or something like that, to put something underneath or something like that. And I just didn't want to, the guy's done. And it just, like I said, it doesn't give off the vibe and the feel. Everybody loved the show. You'll see in some pictures, maybe you'll see, a lot of hand clapping and stuff like that, just like every Lindsey show. But it certainly was not anything like you see in California or I guess I haven't seen any other state. I've seen Lindsey since in Oregon, like Oregon proper and Seattle proper, and they're, huge. And of course the Fleetwood Mac. But this one was just kind of off. It's just kind of different. It certainly wasn't bad though. It was freaking great. And yeah, so these are some of the pictures. We'll start off with some of I think what were some of the best ones. With Lindsey, unfortunately, they all look a little bit the same because he's kind of stationary with the guitar, but some pretty good clothes. So, after all those terrible shots I've gotten in the past, I was really happy. These were some of my first really good ones, to come out. I mean, they are really clear. It's such a funny thing because he's like, in song. Is there like, I keep seeing like there's a big dot there. He's really in song just like Stevie is, even though he's playing an instrument. And it's so funny because people will say, like Stevie Nicks is such the little poet and everything like that. And she definitely is. But I also find it's kind of an interesting dynamic because, Stevie was with Lindsey, Lindsey was with Stevie, and they are so much the same person when it comes to their craft. Even though she's female, so she has this different ethereal version and this kind of, this image that, she personifies on stage. Lindsey also kind of has this image and does his own thing. And they're very simpatico with that. I mean, each one is just A, meant to be on stage, and B, they just kind of give their own thing and they feel the music and they respond to it. They respond to the crowd. I've never been to a Lindsey show where he hasn't completely lit up and animated even more than he already was when the audience is completely involved in it. And never. It's Fleetwood Mac or any otherwise. Lindsey just really responds well. Stevie, of course, is very gracious and stuff like that, but she has much larger audiences. She's in much larger venues, and she can't always see, with the because of all the lights and because of how big it is. But Lindsey plays so many places that are a bit more intimate, a bit more smaller. Certainly not clubs, but like nicer casinos with larger, but not a venue, not like, Moto or the Staples Center or something like that. You know what I mean? But, it's more intimate then. It's kind of a whole different, it's almost more a beneficial show, to be perfectly honest with you. And to be completely honest with you, some of my more recent memories, when I look over all my concert experiences, every time I talk to you guys or, think about it to myself, one of the best memories ever was one of the last shows I'd ever seen of Lindsey. And I mean, I talk to Dawn about it all the time. We'll just be talking. I'll be like, what, I really just, because it just comes up over and over again. That's pertaining to kind of things that are going on in my life. But otherwise, it's just really, it was just so special. Lindsey, was back from, not being well. We're just kind of over COVID. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. And I'll get certainly more into that more, because if you think these pictures and the experience I talk about were okay, when I get to those, you guys might be crying with me because they were pretty special. So, but back to the photos. So we got this one just really reminded me, just really Lindsey being in the moment. It could be any number of songs. And also the bummer part about Lindsey is because he is so stationary and doesn't change capes or shawls or something, I have a really hard time like saying, oh, that's probably. Sometimes you can, definitely point out it's going to be, So Afraid or something like that, or Go Insane. But, there's other times where he could just, who knows? But you can't really pick it all the time with Lindsey. Probably, more hardcore Lindsey fans than I could do it, but. But sometimes we'd see a Stevie photo like that and we'd be like, oh my God, she's totally singing Dreams, just hands down. But with Lindsey, I can never be sure. You see kind of how wide the stage is? It's kind of, you can just tell in that picture that, here's people right here, here's where he is, but it goes back further. I mean, they were all up front, stuff like that. It was a very wide stage and a very wide opening, if that makes any sense. And then come here, you can again see a little bit more of the stage part. It's so funny. This one, and one you'll see later. This one, not as much, but you'll see one later of Brett, and I swear to God, he's looking right at me. It's so funny when you get those pictures because they're so cool, but other times you're like, oh shit, I hope I didn't use a flash or something. But when you see a shot like this, it's really cool. The hands are there, but there are other shows where you can just see a mob of people just, just definitely more experience. And this is pretty well sold. Oddly, other than that row, it's really weird. There was a lot of people up front. There was a lot of people back. I don't really know that I can recall that there was like, kind of the shell side or up in the back. I really don't. I mean, but the floor was very, very packed, very full. I mean, not packed, but very full. But it was really weird because where my seat was, and funny enough, like I said, even if Lindsey's here and I was all the way over here, I mean, your view was spectacular. I mean, there was not a bad view. So it's not like people would have been buying those end seats being like, oh, it's going to be a crappy view. And it wasn't like also, sometimes in a place there's like A, B, and C or whatever. No, this was just all one area that I can recall. I could be wrong, but it just seemed like it was all one, all front, first row, second row, third row, all like that. So, but he's still digging it. He always gives his most, he just like Stevie. I mean, they really all do. I mean, I just really can't tell you of a show that I've been to of either one that would be phoning it in. We use that term all the time for some artists. And I've been to a show where, I've told you I've been unhappy maybe with like, Billy Joel or something like that at the Concert for Artists' Rights where I think they've phoned it in. But when I go to see Stevie or Lindsey, possibly this one might be the most tamest show I've ever seen. Again, just not by his actions, but just the crowd, but yeah, they don't ever just, be like, ugh, we're going to get it over with. Never. I can't ever say that about Stevie or Lindsey or Fleetwood Mac. Always there's going to be some shows that are better than others, but you know what I mean? It's never just like, ugh, that was a total waste of money. You know what I mean? It's just never the situation. And then not much more, really. This kind of wraps it up, to be honest with you. These were some of the not better pictures, but look at that one right there. Does that come in? I mean, I swear Brett is looking, oh yeah, kind of not coming in right at me. This is so funny. I think this was early on before I moved over, because you can see I'm kind of a little bit closer to, the angle of where Lindsey is. Just kind of funny. They're all dusty looking like that. Nice one of Brett there. And then unfortunately the full group shot was kind of not very clear, but it's still nice. And as you can see, I was able to snag the set list. You can kind of see from the tape, the black tape that was on there. And a great set list. I mean, yeah, Turn It On. I mean, kind of the encore was kind of, to me, the best part of the show. But I'll tell you what, I think I've said it before, and I'll say it again, which I love to repeat all the time. Shut Us Down, was that on here? No. Yeah, the first one. Yeah. I can listen to that over and over and over again. Which could be that one, maybe this one, because he does that little solo that kind of towards the end, it kind of gets quieter, and maybe that was this one. You're not quite so sweaty yet. So yeah, not a whole bunch, and I'm super bummed I can't find a ticket. What is cool, and I wish I could show you, I'm going to actually talk to a friend of mine, or if anybody, if he knows, if nobody would mind, and please don't send me a link because I'm not so good about that. But I have a lot of little clips, and I think I would be able to put them on Facebook without any problem, like any music, copyright issue. I have a really cool little video of Lindsey when he comes up on the marquee. No music is played, but it just shows the date, and it's just kind of cool. It shows Lindsey, and it shows like an action shot, but then just I think the seeds we sow, or maybe some picture. I don't know. I have some of Stevie as well, some stuff, but I have all these little snippets, and it would be really cool to make one continuous video. There might be parts where music's playing, but it would be music in an advertisement, so it's not like live music. Although I have some of those too. So I might have to look around. I don't know. Again, I don't know if that would pass the YouTube okay or not, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I want to look into that because it'd be cool. This little snippet that I took, it was just really neat because here we are in this, out in the middle of nowhere, high up in this mountain and such, and it's all pitch black, and but then there's this glowing marquee, and Lindsey Buckingham pops up on it, so it's just kind of cool. So that is my story for that. We are going to do one more video, and that will wrap up the remainder of In Your Dreams, just some bric-a-brac here and there. And then I think we'll be getting into just some miscellaneous of Stevie and Lindsey in 2012. But, like I said, we're going into the 2013 Fleetwood Mac, going back. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope, you enjoyed any Lindsey content. I love sharing it all, like I tell you. And I really love my Lindsey shows. Stevie shows are my thing. You can tell by count, but I really, really love going to Lindsey shows. And this one was really cool. I mean, I'm so glad, even when I say what I say about it, which is not negative, but I'm almost more glad I got to see it when I have those memories that I have. And it was just such an unusual crowd because it's something different. But again, I have some memories of like Monterey. I went to Monterey, Reno, Napa, a whole bunch of shows in like 2023, 22 or 23, something. Anyway. And, those will be coming up, not soon, but, soon enough, and lots of pictures and so many memories. So I just like making memories all those places, and I hope you enjoy them. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll come back Monday with probably wrapping up In Your Dreams. Have a great night. Bye.